Percentage increase, decrease.
Okay, so I'm going to show you how to increase 80 by 15%. With this non-calculator method, the first thing we do is we find 10% of 80. And to find 10% of anything, you divide by 10. So 80 divided by 10 is 8. So therefore, my 10% of 80 equals 8. Now I want to find 15%, so if I find 5%, which is half of 8, because half of 10% is 5, therefore if you half the 8, you'll get 4. Now as you can see, I find 10% of 80, and I've got 5% of 80 by halving 10%. And if I add the 10% and the 5% together, that will give me 15% of 80. So 15% of 80, 8 plus 4, which is 12. If I wanted to find what 15% of 80 was, this would be my final answer. However, I don't. I want to increase the original 80 by 15%. So I have to add the 12 and the 80 together. So 80 plus 12 gives me my final answer of 92. So now we're going to look at decreasing. To start off, I'm going to find 21% of 300. So as before, the first thing I'm going to do is find 10%. Can you remember how to find 10%? Divide by 10. So 300 divided by 10 is 30. So that's 10% equals 30. Now, as we want to find 21%, what I'm going to do is I'm going to double my 10% in order to give me 20%. So I now have 20%, but I need to find my 1%. So there's a couple of different ways you can do this. What I'm going to do is, I know that 10% is 30, and 1% is a tenth of 10%. So I'm going to find a tenth of 30, which is 3. So my 21% is composed of 20% and 1%. Therefore, it equals 63. Like before, we have our 21%, which is 63. So I'm going to decrease 300. So that'll be my 300 minus the 63 decrease will give me what my answer is. So the answer is 237. Let's have a look at this one. So I'm going to start off by finding 10%. So to do that, remember, I divide 450 by 10. So 10% of 450 is 450 divided by 10 is £45. Then I'm going to find 1%. So a tenth of 10% is 1%. So I want to find a tenth of £45 to find 1%. So that's £4.50. Then I want to look at finding 0.5%, which again, if you look at 1%, it's half of that. So we're going to half £4.50. So now we have our 10%, our 1%, our 0.5%, and if we add all these together, this will give us our 11.5%. So our new price is our original price of £450 plus our 11.5% increase. Therefore, our final answer is £501.75. This question is going to be a decrease, as the trousers are in a sale, therefore the price is decreased by 17%. So I'm going to start off by finding 10% of 60, which, if you remember, is divide 60 by 10. So that's £6. Then I'm going to find 5%, which is half of 10%, which is £3. Then I still have another 2% to find, because I've got 10 and 5, which is 15%. So let me find 1% next, which is a tenth of 10%. So a tenth of £6. Divide that by 10 to give me 60p. Now if I double 1%, that will give me 2%. So double 60p is £1.20. So to get my 17%, I can add my 10%, 5% and 2% together. So the trousers have been decreased by £10.20. So let's find the new sale price. So a new price is my £60 original price minus my 17% reduction. Therefore my final answer is £49.80. Now it's your turn to answer some questions. Pause the video and try these. How did you do? Here are the answers. If you answered any incorrectly, have a look back through the video and then try again.